All right. So we stopped at, we actually finished the presentation. I still have to explain you what access review is. We'll do that later. So we can do a quick lab. It's just 30 minutes, but it's really up to you how fast you can do it. I've shared the links for the labs. There's one from the GitHub. You have all the labs related to 104. So you can see from lab 01 till lab 11. And you also have another source, which is Microsoft Learn. Now, Microsoft Learn is a portal which you can use for your learning for all Microsoft products and services, and it's really well done. You can see the topics based on certifications or a specific concept or the topic. So the syllabus is very nice. After the bootcamp, you can even go through this to refresh your knowledge. There's a lot of reading involved and exercises as well. Okay, I hope everyone has access to Azure portal. Let's log in and do this lab. So understand the lab, what exactly you're doing, that is important. Don't just follow the steps. Don't just do step by step, follow it and finish the lab. You need to know what you're doing. So this is a scenario here, small scenario. So it gives you the introduction on the lab. This is the first in series of labs for Azure administrators. In this lab, you'll be learning users about users groups. Users groups are basic building blocks for identity solution. And it says that you need Azure subscription for this. And with the trial account which you have created, you already have one, I guess. And it says your subscription type may affect the availability of features in the lab. You may change the region, but the steps are written using East US. That's fine. So what is the scenario here? You have a diagram here wherein it shows you the task one. And in task one, you're creating a user one as an IT lab administrator, and you're creating a guest account as well. So guest account is nothing but it, it. This is the type of account you create when you have B2C scenario, business to customer scenario, and even the B2B. It applies to B2B as well. So the user accounts which you create on your Entra ID for other organizations users are called guest users. So your organization is building a new lab environment for pre-production testing of apps and services. A few engineers, this is a scenario which you need to understand. A few engineers are being hired to manage the lab environment, including the virtual machines. To allow the engineers to authenticate by using Microsoft Entra ID, you have been tasked with provisioning users and groups. So when you talk about provisioning users, user provisioning means it actually refers to the complete life cycle of the user in your Entra ID, right from creating the users, managing the users, and when that user is not required, deleting the user. So provisioning is basically provisioning and deprovisioning. There are two different things. Provisioning, you create the user, you give the users or groups appropriate access and the privileges which are required for that user. To minimize admin overhead, membership of the group should be updated automatically based on the job titles. So this is what we are also looking at dynamic groups here. So we'll see. Uh, and how we are creating the dynamic users based on the job titles. So you can create a group and these users can be automatically added to this group. Task one, create and configure user accounts. If you have your Azure portal access ready with you, you can follow the steps with me. or I'll just quickly run through it. Okay, so we sign into the Azure portal and then welcome message. Okay, that's all of the starting point. We have done all this. Search and select Entra ID. Once you're on Azure portal, you can search and select the Entra ID. You can go in here and search for Entra ID. And that's my Entra ID. Now, Microsoft Entra ID is Azure's cloud-based identity and access management solution. Take a few minutes to familiarize yourself. Okay, that's for you can do that when you're doing it, doing your own lab. Select the overview blade and then the manage tenants tab. Overview blade, this is the overview blade in Entra ID, and then manage tenants tab. This is the manage tenants tab. I hope you can see where I'm moving the cursor. I'll try to see if there's a cursor highlighter available here. 1 second. Mouse pointer. Mouse highlighter is there. Yes, let me use this. How does it work? Windows Shift H. Okay. Okay. I got my cursor highlighter here. So you can see where I'm clicking here, manage tenants. So here I see there are 3 Entra ID tenants created for me. This is because I have a lab setup for different environments. So don't go by that. If you are just having a single subscription, you will have a default tenant created for you. So you can see the organization name. It will be by default this name, domain name. So when you don't have your own domain name, Microsoft creates everything for you on Microsoft.com. So there will be a prefix, and then you'll have your user account mainly and the domain name. Tenant type, you can see Microsoft Entra ID and organization ID. This is the unique ID assigned to your Active Directory tenant. Let me close all the unwanted windows. It is distracting to shift the windows actually. All right, so we are in Entra ID now. We clicked on Manage Tenants. Return to Entra ID page by pressing back in the browser. Okay, that will do. Explore other options such as licenses and password resets. So we are going back to overview, and it says manage tenants, Entra ID page, licenses and password reset. Do you see where it is? Because remember I told you these Microsoft, the GUI interface, they keep enhancing it. And you can see here the options might be slightly different than the labs because the labs are written very probably a couple of years back. So you see the license, what type of license you have. So as you know that the moment you create the subscription on Azure or even on any Microsoft cloud service, there will be a free Microsoft Entra ID tenant created for you. So it shows you the licensing tab. That means in this Entra ID, I will not have the features of P1 and P2 licenses. Conditional access and identity protection features will not be there, and some other features which I have explained to you through the slides. And in this, you can see this is my default Active Directory. I have 7 users created so far. I have 5 groups, and there are 2 applications which I have created. This is my tenant ID, which is a unique identity. Every tenant on Microsoft Cloud will have a unique ID. There will not be any 2 tenants having the same IDs. And this is my primary domain. Since I'm not having my own domain name, Microsoft has created my username followed by onmicrosoft.com. This is important to understand. Now we are going to create a user. Okay, in the manage blade, select users. So you have a manage blade here, and you have all different options here available, which you can do in Entra ID. So it is similar to on-prem Active Directory. If someone has worked on it, they will know what each of this means. So I clicked on users, and I can see that there are user accounts created here. And you can see the display name of the user principal name. You'll understand what the user principal name is. This again plays a very important role in identity management. You have user type, member of this Entra ID or the guest. So you can see there I have two guest accounts. That means those users are not actually part of my Entra ID. These are guest accounts which I have created for B2B or B2C collaboration. Okay, so and one more important point, you can see if this user is created on-prem and synced to this Entra ID. So I don't have any AD sync or Entra ID sync connect installed on my on-prem domain controller. So these are all on-prem Entra ID user accounts, not the on-prem synchronized user accounts. So you can distinguish the users here, right? Select user, click the new user. So now we are going to click the new user. You can see how there are two options here. Create a new internal user in your organization or invite external user. Invite an external user to collaborate with your organization. So we have seen there are two methods of collaboration, B2B and B2C, right? So if I'm going too fast, if you're not able to follow, let me know. But I'm really going slow so that you understand each of these options. All right, we are here at the user creation wizard now. I'm going to create new user, and you can see what all options you have here. You have an identity. Basically, you're creating an identity, user principal name. You have to provide nickname. Now let's follow the lab again. We'll exactly create the accounts because other labs which are which are coming after this are related to this, and we should have the uh, similar content so that we can understand it. So here it says create a user account with a name. User principal name is the 104 user one. Then display name is the same we're creating. And auto-generated password is auto-generated. It's already checked. And you have to take a note of this password in order to access your service. So we're creating this user, and then we have auto account enabled, yes. So you can even have the user account created but disabled. That means it cannot be used by anyone. So we are creating a user. We are setting the password and we are enabling the user account here. Job title. This is important again as the next exercise where we are creating a group and automatically adding this user to that group based on this property. So we go to the properties. We have a job title here. You can use any unique property to map the users or to automate a particular process. So department, we'll put the department as IT, and then location. We are going to select the location, United States, office location. You can even use the location. So let's say you want to create a group based on the office location. You want to say that every user who is working in US, particularly if you're in your office which is based in New York, for example. So these properties, what you're seeing here, you can use this for different purposes. One is to have the proper information of the user. Second, you can automate certain processes relating to that particular user account. Once you have finished reviewing, review and create. So That's all we have to do here. We review and create the account. And the user account is created. But it doesn't appear here. You just refresh. You can see you have created a user account. The display name is nothing, something which you see on the on Entra ID user list for managing that user. It can be different than the user account, doesn't really matter. But what is important is the user principal name, because the user will be using this for logging into the portal or access the services. Okay, the user account is created. Now we are creating another type of user, invite an external user. So what I'll do is I'll create a new user, invite an external user. Now in this, we follow, put the email address. Now which user you're inviting? Let me put my own account on outlook.com. So this is now this user doesn't belong to my organization. I'm just inviting this user to connect to my Entra ID. So that's going to be your guest user. So your name, you can put your name as whatever you want. XYZ, you can say. So let's keep it simple. Now we can send a message. Check the box. Send invite message. So welcome to Azure and group project. So now what is it going to do? This has to be a valid email address. Okay, in order to create a guest user. Because now what is happening is you're creating an account. You're sending a message and sending the invite to the user, and then connect to your portal. Move to the properties. Now we go to the properties tab. So this is, if you see here, that's a unique link which is created for this invitation. So either you send the let this send the invite automatically, or you can copy paste this invite and send it separately by your user account from your email mailbox. We have in the properties tab, we are putting IT administrator in the job title again, and IT department. United States is the location. Okay, review and create. That's everything. And here you see, you don't get an option to create, you get an option to invite. Okay, and you got a user here. So Maqsood is a user. Basically, it should be a guest user. You can see that. This is the name, display name of the user. This is the user principal name. This is the type of the user guest, and this is the identity of the user. So let's see how it works. So, okay.
Masood,
Create
why
group.
we are creating this external user?
We want to allow the external user using his own username and password to access our services on Azure portal.
Okay,
It's a B2
okay,
B2C collaboration.
okay.
We are not
Like
creating
how
and
we are
managing
giving
that user.
to
Yeah,
for
just
vendors,
like
how we are giving access to
exactly,
vendor. Ah, okay, got
exactly.
it.
Create groups and add members. And this exercise, what we are going to do is uh, in this task, you create group account. Group accounts can include user accounts or devices. Now, what are these devices? Which devices are we talking about? If it is on-prem Active Directory, you're creating computer accounts, or the accounts computer accounts are created the moment you join your active computer to the domain. Similarly, you can manage the devices on Entra ID. So if you have your laptop, users who are using their laptop, they can be Entra ID joined, same as they join to local on-prem Active Directory domain. And here they can join to Entra ID, and those devices will be available in the Entra ID portal, and you can manage those devices to some extent. It's not the complete control you'll have, but you'll have some limited control options on those devices. There are two basic ways members are assigned to the group. Statically, and dynamically. So you can create a group and then add the users to those groups, particularly by yourself, or you can have a rule wherein whenever you have the policy, whatever you set, based on the specific property of the user, like we have created two users. One is the locally created account, the other one is the guest account. Both of these users are belonging to IT domain, IT department, and they are the IT administrators. So what we are going to do here is static group requires that we'll create the group and we'll see. Static groups require administrators to add and remove manually, members manually. Dynamic group update automatic groups updates automatically based on the property of a user account or device. For example, job title. This is what we are doing exactly in this lab. So again, we are going to the Entra ID and then we are going to go to the group, all groups. So here we are back in Entra ID and here we have something called groups. And in this, we can create a group. I have 5 groups already. Let's look at those groups. IT Cloud Admin, IT Lab Admin. These are the names of the groups. And you can see the type of the group, assigned or dynamic. Assign means you have to manually manage the group members. You can add or remove the group members in that group, or you can, well, if it is a dynamic group, it will be automatically assigned. So I'm going to the group. Let's create a new group. All right. So all groups, new group, and the group name, group type is security. You have two types here: security and Microsoft 365. Now, what is the difference? Security group is used for assigning specific security permissions or access to the users in this group. And Microsoft 365 is related to the Microsoft 365 application services. So we'll see that later. I'll give you an example of that when you will use the Microsoft 365 group. Here we don't have any Microsoft 365 services. We are just managing the Azure infrastructure as a service. And with that service, what we have got is the Entra ID, free tenant created. And we are creating and managing the users and groups in order to give them access to manage the Azure resources. So that's we are limited to that. We don't have any service subscribed for Microsoft 365. Group name, I'm going to give the group name IT Lab Administrators. Maybe I've already created this one. Yeah, it says group name is not available. It's already created, so I'll change it. I'll say IT Lab Admits. Okay. Group description: administrators that manage the IT lab. Now, why this information is important? So even if you're a Active Directory admin or Entra ID admin, when you're creating the user accounts or groups or any object on Active Directory, it's important that you follow certain rules. Though this information is not mandatory, but it's really helpful for you when it comes to managing the user accounts and the groups. Membership assigned, and we are selecting the membership assigned. Okay, and here there's a note here, and then Entra ID Premium P1, P2 licenses is required for dynamic membership. You see, if other membership types are available, the options will show up in the drop down. So here it doesn't give you many options here. The dynamic group membership is not available because we are on a free tenant, right? So let's continue with this group. What happened? Is this done? No. Number 3. So we say assign, select no owner selected. Okay, that's default. There's no owner selected, no membership select, no member selected. In the add owners page, okay, select yourself. Okay, where is it? Do you see any add ownership page? Okay, add owners. In the add owners page, search select yourself as the owner. Notice you can have more than one owner. Okay, select no member selected. Okay, it's just showing you we can assign the ownership of the group. This again depends on different scenarios where you will assign ownership to the group. let's say if this is IT lab admins, right? So you can have a team lead for the IT labs who can be a owner of this group, and he will know whom to assign, whom to add, and whom to remove this in this particular group. So that user will have the ownership of this group, and he can add and remove the users to that group. So we are not adding any owners here. So we are selecting no members, select no members, and no owners selected, and then no member select is already there. Add members, and we are adding the members automatically here. The groups which the users which we have created, we created this user and which one this one, the guest user which we created. Okay, these are the two users we have created. So these users are going to be part of this. So it says AD1 and the guest user which you created, and click create. Right. So you may be managing the large number of groups. Does your organization have a plan for creating groups and adding members? So there has to be a plan. Now again, groups you won't create randomly based on your wish and your thinking. There has to be a reason why you're grouping the users and how you will manage those users. Extending your learning with Copilot. Okay, we got Copilot as well here. So Copilot can assist you in learning how to use the Azure scripting tools. Can also assist in areas not covered in the lab or where you need more information. Right. So that's fine. So we have done two labs here. Actually, one in the one lab you have two actions. You have created the users and you have created a group. Where is it? We are going. Okay, Entra ID in the groups, all groups. You can see IT lab admins. I have created a group called IT lab admins, and it has members, two members. That is those two users which we have created. So that's the first lab we have done. Now let's see what is the next thing we have. In the next lab, what do we have here? Okay, I think that's it in the first lab. Then you have managed subscription and RBAC in the lab too. This we'll see later. This is done here. There's one more concept I need to highlight here. So we are done with this lab. You can carry on and practice yourself. I'll go to the whiteboard. There's one thing which I need to explain here, which is also important. See, if you don't do the labs, it's up to you. It's not, that's the very important part here is the concepts, learning the concepts, understanding the service type. So you know what is Active Directory domain services, where it is used, and Entra ID, where it is used, and what are the different scenarios where you have to use that. There's one more scenario I'll explain you now, wherein you will there is also a service called Entra ID domain services. Now, why do we have that? Let me explain you that. All right, I hope you can see the screen, whiteboard. Okay. Right now, I want to explain you. We have seen Active Directory Domain Services, ADDS it is called. We have seen Entra ID. Now we have something called Entra ID Domain Services. Now, what is Active Directory? It's a, again, you can say it's an identity and access management services on-prem. This is IAM service on cloud. And this is nothing but your Active Directory services. This the IAM on-prem runs on the Microsoft product called Active Directory, right? Active Directory. So here Microsoft is again providing you something which you used to have on your on-prem scenario. So AD Entra ID services is nothing but Active Directory domain services on cloud. Yeah, similar to your on-prem, exactly what you have on on-prem. What is the difference? Now, again, you know that Active Directory domain services uses Kerberos, Kerberos as an authentication protocol, Kerberos or NTLM. When it comes to Entra ID,
Samuel.
SAML, not Samuel, SAML and
Same.
uh,
Yeah.
OAuth.
Auth.
And
And
when it comes to Entra ID domain services, it's again same as your on-prem Active Directory services. Now, why Microsoft has brought this service in place? That's what we need to understand. Okay. So now let's uh, draw a scenario. So let's keep it on the side. Let's say I have on-prem network, on-prem Active Directory infrastructure. I have a domain controller. I have my different servers. There's an application server, there's a file server, and so on. And I have the users. Okay. So all the users are created here. There are user accounts. There are groups. There are devices, which are nothing but your computer accounts. And you also have the structure of OU structure, wherein you can organize your users and groups and devices in one particular container, and you have group policies also to manage. Now, this application, let's say this is your on-prem scenario. Now you have introduced your you are planning to move to Azure cloud completely. This is your Azure cloud, and you are running infrastructure as a service model, a service model. That means you need to replicate your whole infrastructure, everything, whatever you have here on Azure platform. Now you can do all of that except the domain controller. You can even do the domain controller. You can build that as well. Now the organization plan is to move from on-prem to Azure cloud completely and get rid of this whole setup. So if you have an application, it depends on Kerberos authentication. So in this, you're having Kerberos protocol as a main authentication protocol. Okay, authentication protocol is Kerberos. So when users access this application, they are authenticated by your Active Directory domain controller, and that all happens on the authentication protocol by Kerberos. Okay. Now, you plan to move everything. You know that when you move to Azure cloud, there you have the replacement of AD as Entra ID. But there are key differences between these two, right? The authentication protocols are different. The authentication here on-prem, it uses Kerberos as an authentication protocol. On the cloud, it uses SAML or OAuth as authentication protocols. It doesn't support Kerberos authentication. So what will happen is your application, if you move your servers, let's say you have moved all your servers here. You have moved your file server, you have moved your application server, and then you have your users who are connecting to the cloud and trying to access this application. What will happen? The application authentication will fail because your Entra ID does not understand the Kerberos authentication, right? So in order to uh, you know fill this gap and provide the similar Active Directory domain services on the cloud, Microsoft has introduced this new service called Entra ID Domain Services. Now, what is the difference in on-prem? Uh, if you are building the ADDS service on-prem, you have to build and manage it. You have to install and manage yourself, domain controller, domain services, and everything related to it. But when it comes to cloud, when it comes to Entra ID, Entra ID is what? It's a managed service, right? It's like a SaaS service, SaaS, software as a service. So you're not doing anything on Entra ID. Everything is done by Microsoft. Microsoft is taking care of all the updates in and support related to this particular application service. And what about the Entra ID domain services? Now, Microsoft also providing Entra ID domain services as a SaaS service. That means it's not you who has to build a domain controller on your Azure platform, install, configure Active Directory, and then do all the configuration related to it. Rather, you can create an Active Directory Entra ID domain services to achieve the similar authentication requirement what you have on-prem. So once you have this, so you will have two things here, and this is additional thing. As when you create the Azure infrastructure, you will not have this created automatically. Entra ID domain services is not automatically created. It's an optional thing, optional service which Microsoft is offering you in order to uh, you know maintain the application legacy applications. The application like this, what we have on-prem, if you need to migrate it to the cloud, this application doesn't support any other authentication mechanism apart from Kerberos. So this Entra ID domain services is helpful in that scenario. So this provides the authentication mechanism, Kerberos or NTLM. Ahmed has a question. Yes, go ahead, Ahmed.
Yeah, if you are providing, we take the Azure services in our organization, we migrated, then what we should do that after this?
Sorry, what is it?
What we do actually. So after migration, exchange and all
Hmm.
to Azure, so what is our role then? So
You still have you when you migrate. See what is
mm,
happening here is, let's say if you take an example of Exchange, you are having an Exchange server on-prem. When you have an Exchange server on-prem, you have to take care of it from right from building the server, making sure that your server is healthy, monitoring the server, managing it, and you have to also look at the capacity, right? If you're exceeding the capacity, if you need more capacity, you have to upgrade it. So this part is completely transferred to Microsoft.
mm,
Microsoft is taking care of that as a software as a service. So they'll
mm,
take care of the application maintenance. They'll take care of the sizing of your application. You don't have to worry about the sizes. The norm
mm,
it depends on your license. If you take 100 mailbox license, you can create 100 mailboxes. You just worry about the user administration. Once you have your Exchange migrated to the cloud services. So it's just an example I'm giving related to the Exchange server. So here you don't need really an Exchange expert or Exchange administrator to manage the Exchange server when the service migrated to the cloud. You need skill set to manage and maintain the user base on the service. So yes, you're making some roles redundant here with the cloud adoption, and
Uh,
understood.
that actually suits some companies who are having a less number of user accounts, who are having less IT overhead. So
I'm
there are
thinking
pros and
about our
cons.
exchange team.
When you
So
compare pros and
sorry.
cons, there definitely if it is an organization like what we have, if it is a big organization with 10,000 users user base, you still need someone to manage those user accounts and the mailboxes, right? The underlying infrastructure is taken care by Microsoft. Yes, So
Okay.
you will have, if you are having four email admins managing this whole infrastructure, Exchange server or the mail server infrastructure on-prem, when you migrate to the cloud, you might reduce it by two. So there is definitely a impact on people here. Yes,
Mm.
did I answer your question, Anu?
Yes, I answered. So
Yes.
the who will managing the group policy after migration?
After migration, group policy is still with you. First of all, if it is just Entra ID, in Entra ID, there's
Mm.
no group policy. If you
Okay.
are going ahead with, if you are utilizing, making use of Entra ID domain services, I'm not sure if that supports the group policy or not. I'll have to still check that. But yes, if you are going with Entra ID domain services, I guess it should be supporting the group policies as well. But I'm
No,
not
for
sure yet.
in Azure, they are not telling that no group policy editing. So maybe it is part of on-premises guys. Mm.
I didn't get your question. Yes, the group policy is not there on Azure Entra ID. On the
Mm.
Entra ID, it's not there by default. Group policy is
Mm.
not there. Group policy is
Mm.
only on your on-prem Active Directory domain services.
Okay. Might be Khaja has some question.
Raja?
Maybe he's consuming his time.
Yeah. Yeah, Masud bhai, I have a question. Like, what about the storage? Like, it depend on the subscription.
Yes. The storage, the
Uh,
mailbox sizes also depends on the license type which you take. There are different licensing options available for
oh,
Microsoft 365 services.
okay, okay, okay. Dang, got it.
Yeah. So there are different tiers of licenses, P1, P2, P3, and if it is related to Exchange, E1, E2, E3, some different tiers available, and there are different features that also comes down to the size, the maximum size of the mailbox and archiving feature and so on. So now my question is here, did you understand why we have Entra ID domain services on Azure available? That's mainly to address the legacy applications which you have on-prem. Now, if you want to completely migrate your services, everything, the whole IT infrastructure from your on-premises to the cloud, and you don't want to keep any IT footprint on your on-prem environment. In that case, the Entra ID domain services might help you. There are some applications which still works on verbose authentication, which requires the ADDS services, uh, not just for authentication, but even for some other services related to ADDS. You can still have those application servers migrated to the cloud infrastructure as a service and use your Entra ID domain services to serve that purpose, to make sure that your legacy applications are still working, are functional on the cloud itself. Any questions here? So it's very important for you to understand when you have the requirement, when you know that, okay, if there's a company which requires to do hybrid cloud, if there's a company who's going completely cloud-based, if there's a company which needs both on-prem and cloud setup, which is hybrid again, and if there is a company which needs completely on-prem environment, private cloud, so you should know which service fits in which environment, which scenario, which deployment model, and make use of it. That's the key to understand here from these discussions. Now, how to do that? As I always say, how to do, you will get step-by-step document like we have done a lab, step by step, click here, there, and then that's it. Your job is done. But you should know in the background what is happening, what service is running, what we are using and utilizing from the cloud services portfolio. So any doubts here so far? Maybe we have some lab related to edit EI Entra ID domain services as well. If it is not there, we can do a custom lab as well. I'll build some use cases. You can run through it to understand more and see how it works in the cloud. Okay, back to the presentation. We were waiting for our friend Asif to give us the use case for the what was that? review, access review service. I'm not sure if he's having the use case available with him. Otherwise, I'll give you the use case where we can use the access review and why it is required. Okay, let me quickly give you a scenario where we can use where access review is required. Just give you a simple explanation on that. So, any doubts so far? Have you done the lab? Did you follow my lab session, which when I was showing you how to create the user subgroups? You have
Yes,
not
yes.
done it? Yeah, the previous labs are also important. If you have missed it, please do that. You will have time today, I think. We'll just wrap up the session in next 10 minutes. So again, I'll be asking you tomorrow. We'll do a recap to understand the difference between the Entra ID services, what we have, Entra ID domain services. Now, in Entra ID, why is access review required? Can anyone give me a use case? What is access review? Do we still have Asif on call? Exercise link. Who is asking that?
Ahmed,
Ahmad,
bye.
I've shared all the links in the WhatsApp group.
Okay, it is. I
Did
don't
you
have
miss,
here actually.
you
I
missed
will
that?
save
Okay.
it.
Yeah, it is there. I'm sharing the links, all the data related to our session in WhatsApp group. Okay. Access review is nothing but a periodic process to check who has access to what within your organization. So, for example, if you have a particular application which is very critical in your infrastructure, and you have a user group created, as we created a user group, right? IT lab admins. Let's say you have a group called HR users, and that group is actually having an access to a very critical application in your organization. So now it is important for you to make sure that that application is accessed only by authorized users. So any changes in the users of the group membership should reflect that access matrix what you have. So you can automate this process. For example, just take an example of a group. I created a group called HR users. In that HR users, I have 10 users which are added. Those are all people who are working in HR, and they have access to the application. HR database is very critical for the organization. It stores all the important information relating to your employees, their salaries, their complete details and the documentation related to each and every individual. So it becomes a very critical data of your organization, and you have to make sure that it is always protected and the access is reviewed periodically. So you can define this access review automatically in Azure platform and with the Entra ID, not Azure platform particularly. It's a part of Entra ID process. So now that HR group, the user group which is uh, called HR users, will have a group ownership. Like while creating the user group, we have seen we can assign an owner for that group. So HR manager, let's say, is a owner of that group. So HR manager is responsible for adding or removing the users to this group, or making sure that only the required people have access to that particular group. They are part of that particular group, because the moment the user is part of that group, he is able to access HR data or HR application. So the access review is a periodic. You can say it's a periodic process. You can schedule it for every 3 months. For example, you can automate it. So every 3 months, there will be an email sent to the group owner, the HR manager. He will get an email to review the access on that particular group. So with that, he can quickly see, okay, I had added 10 users in this group. if they're still there or not, if there is anything added without my knowledge to this group, because IT admins have ultimate control on Entra ID. So they can add or remove the users as well to the group. So it's a job of the HR manager, who is the owner of the group, to make sure that only the specific users and the HR users are added. Those are authorized to access that particular resource. So this process can be automated in Entra ID. So that's called access review. So it can be automated every 3 months. There might be an email sent to the HR manager. He can review the access. He can add or remove the users to that particular group, and that's about it. I hope that is clear. That should be a practice in every organization, the access review, because nowadays everything is based on the all the controls, all the access based on the usernames, the identities only, right? Because this is the cloud, and in order to access the cloud service, you use your username and password, and uh, though you have multi-factor authentication, the identities becomes a very critical part of your cloud environment. So you have to protect your identities. You have to protect the resources on your cloud with the help of the features whatever Microsoft is giving, or any cloud service provider. They have all these features built into their platforms and environments. It's about you knowing it and making use of it. So this is also there available on Entra ID. So you have to know that. That's the message here. I hope it is clear, and I think we can conclude our session today here, and we'll continue tomorrow. So the floor is open to you. If you still have any questions, we can go through it. If you want to go through the labs which you didn't finish, and if you have any doubts related to it, we can clarify those doubts. Right? So
Okay.
is there a message here? All right. So I'm going to share I've already shared the link, Amma. You can see in WhatsApp group,
Okay, thank you.
and practice the labs, please. And let me know if you have any doubts.
Sure,
Sure,
sure.
sure.
Okay, then.
Thank
Have a
you.
good day, guys.
Thank you.
Let's
Thank
catch
you.
up tomorrow, and I'll try to make sure that the meeting is scheduled so that you can always use the same link for logging in, because I really don't like us to waste time on troubleshooting the Teams, uh, issues when our time starts to learn. So let's do that. I'll make sure from my side we're all ready by the time we start, and you guys also make sure that your devices and internet and everything is in working condition. Okay, then. Good day, and catch you up tomorrow, inshallah.
Okay. Assalamu
Assalamu
alaikum.
alaikum.
Walaikum
Salam.
salam.